Welcome to Time for Health. I'm your host, Rachel Fall, and we're very glad you've joined us. We always share some kind of health topic when we're here, and today we're talking about some different things. So the fancy word for what we're kind of talking about is social determinants of health, and I have Connie Roe from Family Advocacy here. Thank you for being here. So we talk about a lot of health topics on here, and you run Family Advocacy Center, which is a social service agency that does a lot of different things. But the reason I asked a social service agency to be here is because there's so many different things that can impact somebody's health that aren't, not blood pressure or that kind of stuff. And those are kind of the things that you and many other social service agencies in Ottawa County address for people. So we'll put some things up on the screen, but social determinants of health, some of the things that impact people's health that aren't necessarily what a lot of people might think of for health are housing, transportation, access to food, access to physical activity opportunities, clean air and water, language and literacy skills, racism, job opportunities, all this kind of stuff, all the things that can impact somebody's life and consequently their health. So we know all those things impact somebody's health, but talk about some of the programs that you guys handle at Family Advocacy Center that can help address some of those things and shore people up so that they can take care of their health too.
Okay, so our mission is to advocate for the stability and success of families and children in Ottawa County. And so by doing that, one of the big things we do is we help connect families to services. And you're right, think of the stress of not being able to pay your bills, or the stress of not being able to get food, or and trauma lots of times is related as well. So a lot of our families have experienced trauma. We work with a lot of families that have been affected by the opiate crisis, which is connected to health in so many ways. And so probably the biggest thing that we do is make that connection for them to other places. We help them fill out applications for GLCAP to stabilize their housing, to stabilize their utilities. We help with applications to Job and Family Services to get food stamps or the name escapes me, all of the things, Medicaid, all of that. So that families can have some stability in their lives, which allows for you to have better health. One of the things that we talk about often, and in fact we've been talking with the health department about, is we work with a lot of grand families, so grandparents who are raising grandchildren. And many times our grandparents will neglect their own health because of financial considerations and just time constraints. So if you have a child that's living with you that you didn't expect later in life, you may not take care of the routine health things that you need to do. Sure. You also, many of our families struggle financially. And so we do have families who choose between, do I get my high blood pressure medicine or do I feed the family? And so a lot of what we do is try to help bridge those things and try to remind everyone that their health's important, not just the children, but the people caretaking the children as well. Another really big thing we do is we provide food. So we do the summer feeding program, which may undergo some changes this summer, but we passed out a lot of food with the help of Magruder Hospital last year. The volunteers from the hospital were amazing. Just so that you know, last summer we sent out 88,000 meals across the county, which is kind of unbelievable when I think of that number. All from Put-in-Bay to Elmore. So we went the entire expanse of the county. We also do weekend bags at all of the schools. So we have about 100 bags in every school district for kids who may be just experiencing some short-term food issues, other kids who depend on them every week. We also do bags, a little bit bigger bags for like spring break, Christmas break, long weekends when they're going to have 4 or 5 days off in a row. We do 2-gallon Ziplocs that actually hold a pretty amazing amount of food. Although, as the former mother of a teenager, I always say I think they could finish this on Friday night. But we try, we do what we can to help get some food into the bellies of children.
Yeah. So how do you know where to start with someone that anybody can come to the agency or reach out, call, email the agency and just...
We really take the stand that we're not going to turn anyone away. So even if they don't fit right into our neat little boxes, we're going to find a place for them to go. The other thing I forgot to mention, Rachel, that Magruder was also very helpful with was the community garden. Oh, yeah. And so we've made some grant applications. We had a garden last year. It was pretty small, but we're hoping to double the size this year. And we also did a grant so that we can do a farm stand out in front of our building at 570 South McKinley. And we're hoping to be able to put the produce out on that farm stand for families to take. So if you don't have access to fresh food, it'll be right there, able to just be taken advantage of. So we're very excited about that. The garden, people who garden are very passionate about gardening. And so it's kind of exciting for us because we have a lot of green space that we can devote to that. So we're excited about doing a garden and about being able to share that produce, and everyone could benefit from a few more fruits and vegetables in their diets, right? So.
Well, and so a lot of the things that you're talking about kind of address a lot of things on here, income, but access to healthy food. So food insecurity. So, I know I might have snacks or, I have some money to spend on groceries, but quite honestly, when you're I'm just speaking about me here, but when I'm stressed, I'm not necessarily going for, the kale and the tomatoes and stuff like that. I'm like,
not sure I ever go for the kale.
Right. I want Pop-Tart, I just want comfort food because I'm stressed. Yeah. So providing meals during the summer when kids aren't in school and have access to meals, or on weekends, and then that fresh fruits and vegetables, that's, if you have it there, it's so much easier to choose. Yeah. And you didn't have to search far and wide and, pay a ton of money for it. So
we do some education programs with our kids as well. We have a lot of different gatherings of kids of different ages, and so a lot of what we talk about with them is health and healthy choices, and let's not be smoking, let's not be vaping, all of those kind of things that really kind of help promote good health. Not everyone necessarily has great examples around them of healthy living and healthy choices, so we really try to put that out there. I think lots of people are doing that, so I think the more people who promote that, the more it will be heard.
Because it's not, it's not necessarily any big grand thing. It's just all the little small, just so okay, have a carrot and then maybe have a Pop-Tart, or you know what I mean? Just the small decisions. So the education, the example, and socially, just having connections. That's one of the things on here too, is just your social environment and your connections, which was hugely impacted over the last couple of years. Everybody was kind of isolated, and
I think that it's going to be some time before we see how much impact the last couple of years have had. And I worry a lot, especially about our kids, because the last 2 years forced them even more into electronic connection, right?
Yeah.
And even trying to get our kids to do a tiny bit of physical activity is really sometimes a struggle. Like we've done some things outside, right? Like we've built some benches outside, and we have a fire pit out in the back, so we'll do some things. But even getting them to lay down their electronic device and come be a part of that tiny bit of activity is really a struggle sometimes. And I think that by isolating them, we kind of just push that even further. And I think that we're going to see a long time struggle of overcoming that. So.
And I'm thinking about the garden. We have a garden at home, and that's a lot of physical activity. It can be
physical activity.
So that that's just a couple of great things that can be accomplished with a garden.
We are wide open to volunteers who would like to come and work in the garden, and some people find it very therapeutic. That's not me. But some people find it very relaxing to come dig in the dirt and pull weeds out and things like that. And so we're always looking for people who might want to help out in the garden and just come in. And it's very peaceful. It's surprisingly in the middle of town. It's very peaceful and quiet. And
I watered there a few times, and it's very zen.
Yes. So, and again, sometimes I think we discount how much mental health is very important to our physical health, right? And so, like we kind of talked about stress and trauma and all that, but sometimes you just have to back down so that you can give your body a little rest, I think. And the other thing I would say, post-pandemic, I guess we're not quite there yet, but we're let's hope we're almost post-pandemic, is the long-lasting effects of anxiety. Like so many people, and we see it across all ages that come to our agency, even very young children who are suffering with anxiety now. And I think that, again, we can relate some of that back to the pandemic, and people didn't know what was happening or how are we going to survive? Is everyone in my family going to be okay? Am I going to get sick? Like all of that. So we see an awful lot of anxiety.
Yeah, and the changes. We're wearing masks, we're not wearing masks.
Yes.
We can go here, we can't go here, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So, one of the big things that you mentioned in the beginning that you do is connect people with the resources that they need. So, somebody would just come in and you just kind of let them drive because I would have an agenda of my own, like, okay, first I think you need to handle this, and then maybe handle.
So one of the things we do with the families we work with is we do an assessment about where everything is. We typically, unless it's a grand family, we lots of times will refer families to community resources, community support services at the Sutton Center. They are excellent at
long-term,
and it's kind of like puzzle pieces, right? So if I can pay for this with money, then I can get help with this, and I can get help with that. And I say, like, they have this magic formula that I don't know anybody else that does, but they can figure all of that out.
Yeah.
So, if we can pay your rent with this money over here, then we can pay your utilities with this, and you can use your money to pay for the car, and like all of that kind of circle. Yeah. So that's really, when they come in, we kind of figure out where do they fit. Sometimes it's a short-term help from the Salvation Army, So, hey, let's call Mo over at the Salvation Army, see if she can help out with this
whatever need.
Little piece, and then we can go from there. And then some of the families stay with us, because there's just lots of stuff.
There's multifactorial. There's lots of things going
absolutely.
on. So.
And living every day stressed out isn't
it's
the
not
way
good for your health.
It's not good for anything.
And all of these things cause stress.
Sure. And we all have to have a place to live and food to eat and electricity and water and all of that. So
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before we depart today?
I would just say that, if you have a moment that you'd like to volunteer, we're doing tutoring, we have lots of kids groups, we have a garden, we'll have a sunflower field again this year. We learned some things last year about planting and spreading that out, all of the things that we needed to learn about sunflower fields. And we're just anxious. We are working on developing a senior program that will be starting soon.
Awesome.
So we have lots of opportunities. I think that volunteering is a really good way to help.
It's also very good for your health.
It is. It's good for you to. It's good for your soul to help someone else. Yeah. And so, if you have that time, little time, more time, please contact us.
Awesome. Thank
you.
All right. So, talking today about all the facets of health. So we always talk about, physical health, mental health, but there's so many things that impact our health. And Family Advocacy Center and a lot of other agencies in Ottawa County are out there to kind of help shore those other things up so that we can take care of our physical health and mental health and all that stuff as well. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing all the resources. Thanks to all the people out there that are those resources for people. Hope this was useful for you, or maybe you can share the information with someone you know and love. And until we meet again, I encourage you to make time for health.